So going into our next segment of the day, we got Wonder Woman, folks. I mean, we got Jacqui Heinrich of Fox News, the one we love here on the Bald Brad channel, questioning her again on the debt ceiling, very similar to Peter Alexander in our first segment. If you haven't already checked that out, go over and check out Peter Alexander of NBC News, questioning her on this debt ceiling limit. Jacqui does a phenomenal job here. Let's go ahead and roll it.
Thank you. The tone in the last few days has been very respectful between the White House and McCarthy's team. You just said a few moments ago that McCarthy's team is working in good faith. But this morning you had House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries slamming MAGA Republicans for dangerous default gamesmanship. You had Pete Aguilar saying McCarthy's beholden to the most extreme members of his party. So is House Democratic leadership undermining the work of the administration right now?
Not at all. We are aligned with them, with the leadership on both the House and the Senate, and that continues. And we have been aligned with them for the past several months.
Does Jeffries speak for the party here?
I believe he's the leader of the Democratic caucus on the House, so I would presume that is a yes.
So it just seems like
What? You guys see the confusion here? And Jackie's confused. I mean, look at Jackie's face. Jackie's trying to figure out. Wait, what? Hold on a second. We just sat through this whole briefing right now for 34 minutes to hear you say one thing, and now you're contradicting another thing. You just got done saying that, yeah, things are productive and that McCarthy's acting in good faith, but then you have one of the leaders of the Democrat Party basically saying that he's not acting in good faith, and he's basically calling him out and calling him an extremist, very similar to what we've seen with Joe Biden, calling MAGA Republicans a threat to democracy and all these other things. So look at her face. I mean, her face says it all right here. So does the other reporter to the left of her. I think it's from CBS. So insane. Let's see if Jacqui can untangle this insane web of logic in air quotes for those listening on audio, coming from the White House.
there's a bit of a divide between the rhetoric that he's using and the rhetoric we're hearing out of the White House.
Look, I think multiple things could happen at the same time. Clearly, Leader Jeffries is a partner in this, has been a partner as well as Leader Schumer. That will continue, and I'll just leave it there. I'm going to go to
the discharge provision. One more. Is that at all a signal that House Democrats doubt the president's ability to lead the country to a solution here?
Well, that's an extreme analysis or
extreme
final kind of analysis there. I would say if you look at what the president has done the last 2 years and the leadership that he has shown in passing historic pieces of legislation, bringing the Democrats together in passing in the Inflation Reduction Act, when he brought the Democrats together to pass his first legislation, which is the American Rescue Plan, that helped.
What? She's going to talk about this man's leadership? Do you see the flip-flop there that she did? It's actually very wise of her. She's clearly not as dumb as we all think that she is. She flip-flopped that. She first started with the Inflation Reduction Act, but why did they need the Inflation Reduction Act in the first place? Because of the American Rescue Plan that she's touting right here that literally led us into 40-year high inflation, just handing out stimulus checks like they're hotcakes. I'm not saying there should have been stimulus checks. The government literally shut everything down. The government's responsible for that, but not everybody needed a stimulus check. I was working in the classroom during COVID. I didn't need a stimulus check. I mean, the people I knew around me were also working. They didn't need stimulus checks. So if you just did it a wise way, we wouldn't have felt the effects in the same amount that we basically did, because Joe Biden's just handing everybody out. I mean, the amount of fraud that took place too, that's a whole nother conversation. But if you notice, it should have been American Rescue Plan, then an Inflation Reduction Act. And here's a really big irony of it all. The Inflation Reduction Act actually doesn't reduce inflation. So it's just more money out the window. It's just more like infrastructure and all that other stuff, right? Inflation Reduction Act, sure. So, but she flip-flops it, right? She makes it seem like one doesn't actually correlate with the other, which they both 100% correlate and assimilate with one another, because the more money you spend, the higher the inflation is going to be. And now you're trying to reduce that inflation, which inflation is being reduced. But now our economy is slowing down because of a result of that reduced inflation, having increased interest rates and things like that. So sure, his leadership's going great. That's silly. Things are not going great at the moment right now. We're about to default on our debt. Our $32 trillion debt.
Get the economy back on its feet. That is a president that has led. That is a president that has continued to lead. You look at the economy has been able to create 12.7 million jobs. It's been able to see an unemployment rate.
They're still pushing this. You guys. It's insane. Folks, you don't have to be a Republican, conservative, Democrat, independent, or anything. Just, folks, they keep posting this thing where it shows job creation on their Facebook and website and stuff like that, that shows the most jobs ever created, and Joe Biden's like skyrocketing on their bar graph or whatever it is, histogram bar graph. I can't remember which one they showed, but it shows Donald Trump like in the negative. Folks, they're getting shellacked in the comments on their own posts because nobody believes that. You shut down the entire globe. You shut down the American economy. People weren't allowed to open up their restaurants and businesses. So, of course, you're going to create new jobs, in air quotes, if that's actually what you're doing, when in actuality, what you're really doing is just allowing people to go back. You didn't create anything. You just allowed people to go back. And some people just quit their jobs or never returned to their jobs, and they would start up a business, or they had a change in career path and all these things. So it's a manipulation of data. You didn't create all these jobs. It's silly. Nobody actually believes it, but that's the gaslighting that continually happens here from this White House, from this administration.
At one of the lowest that we have seen in modern time, and that's going to continue if we continue to do the work of the American people, get this budget negotiation done, and here, that's at stake. The work that this president has done, that is what's at stake right now.
I guess that would be like an end run around what the president is doing.
Absolutely not. Look, I would refer you to Congress on their processes and what they're trying to do in Congress, but to say or suggest the president's leadership is in question, I think is completely false. I disagree with that premise, and certainly with that question, because if you look at the last 2 years, if you look at what Democrats have been able to get done with the leadership of this president, that is the complete opposite of what you just laid out. Go ahead, April.
Wow. Does anybody really believe that? Hand to God. I mean, look, even if you're an independent that watches the Bald Brad Show, does anybody really believe that Joe Biden's leadership is a good thing right now? No, nobody believes. I mean, everybody expects this guy to lose. I mean, Democrats themselves don't want Joe Biden to run again. There's still a small few, and we'd like to know who those small few are because, I mean, your head must be in the sand. But obviously, she's not going to say the opposite, right? Obviously, she's not going to say what we say here on the channel. The guy sucks at his leadership. He's not doing a great job. He's struggling up here. You feel bad for the guy. You know, it's like elder abuse, what they're doing with this man of chauffeuring him out. He almost fell down a flight of stairs. I mean, before he fell up a flight of stairs, that's happened multiple times. He hits a golf ball backward. He fights with his teleprompter. He doesn't know his wife's name. He doesn't know his general's names. He forgets that he's president, you guys. He literally just called Kamala Harris president many, many times. He's called other people president many times. He doesn't know what's going on. He's confused. You feel bad for the guy because he's not the same person he used to be. I mean, we can ramble like we always do about Joe Biden, his leadership, and just the disastrous policies he's implementing in this country. But I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.